As a person who has been doing no-hit runs since 2019, I like playing a little game from time to time, where I predict how long a title will take until the world's first Hitless happens. Sometimes runners exceed my predictions, like how Hayate got Hogwarts Legacy damages in 13 days when I predicted 14, and other times I'm way off the mark, like when Bushido got world's first Slice of P Hitless. Besides the ones I mentioned, I usually make those predictions for myself because it's not common to see runners interested in titles outside of what already exists inside the Team Hitless community, like how I nailed my prediction for getting Neo Replicant in 14 days or Resident Evil 8 in 10 days. But whenever Father Miyazaki comes down from the Holy Mountains to bless us with another title, you can be certain that the members from the Hitless community will be the first ones to sit on the table, and that was the case when Elden Ring dropped. My prediction was that the first run will happen in 14 days. And while I didn't hit the mark, I wasn't disappointed because a few days later, Bushido Yu became the first runner to beat Elden Ring without getting hit, with Gino Machino getting the run 5 hours later. Fast forward to the recent DLC drop by Father Miyazaki, it's no surprise that some runners will dive in for some good old-fashioned hitless. So again, I gave my predictions. 3 weeks is what I said. And man, oh man, my predictions got obliterated when a runner by the name Nico Bellic posted a run on June 29, 2024, 9 days after the DLC's release. For the naked eye, when you see the title No Hit Speedrun and then you see the gameplay, you think most of the stuff Nico Bellic is doing kinda makes sense, since you gotta go fast while being a Giga Chat at it. And when you see the comment section, all you see is a lot of viewers celebrating Nico's crazy achievement. But what most of you don't really see is the piles upon piles of bodies in the comment section that Nico tried to hide to prevent any new viewer from finding out that this run was spliced. Before I continue, I want to mention that I do not condone any form of harassment or bullying towards Nico Bellic. This is not the first runner who has done this and definitely won't be the last. This is not the type of content that I'm looking to do on this channel, but since I'm a fellow no-hit runner and I've dealt with cheaters in the past, I thought it'd be a good idea to talk about this and how the community managed to find out. Also, I want to mention that all the stuff I've learned and will talk about in this video has been found by members of the Team Hitless community. I will be using reference from certain videos and streams, so if you want to see more, the link will be in the description. Lastly, from here on out, I'm not going to be following a script, and just giving my thoughts about the situation. Alright, so, like I said before, I've caught cheaters in the past, and while I usually don't really care about what they do, and I just let it slide, this one was a bit more important for two reasons. It's Elden Ring, which is a game that is within Team Hitless, and secondly, it's actually a world's first situation. This person did not went out of his way and call it a world's first, but there is definitely moments where people give him props and congratulate him, and instead of Nico basically saying, no, this is not like a world's first, this is just, you know, a splice, or this is a segmented run, the answers are in a way trying to admit it, but not directly, that my guy actually did this run legitimately. Basically the comment is like answering like, yeah, I'm excited to see what other runners are gonna come up with, as if this run has already been done single segment, and so that kind of brushed me off the wrong way. Then the second reason I kind of want to talk about this is because I really find it wild the lack of respect that people who splice or do segmented runs have over runners who work hard to earn their single segment runs, by just not being transparent about this whole thing. If this is a run that is splice or a segment, then why not put it in the title? Nico Bellic changed it to segmented, but before this happened, it was already done. The damage has been done. I think the run had around like 130k plus viewers before everything went down. And strangely enough, Nico Bellic not hiding this comment, which Hop tried, you know, by saying quick hide this comment right here, didn't work out, and Nico Bellic just tried to give an apology. But it was already done. The damage was already done. You could have done this way sooner by actually not hiding all the comments of other people who were calling you out. So to give an idea of like what Nico Bellic is really about, the player himself here likes to do a lot of like speedrun or deathless challenges, and we can see right here that he has a Cuphead 100% speedrun. We get a damages run from Resident Evil here, Cyber Shadow, Sifu, more Cuphead, the Elden Ring, Lies of P, and Armored Core. This is something that Nico Bellic has been doing for quite some time, even though there's members who have found reasons for this not to be legit. I haven't been able to find evidence myself fully. That said though, there's a lot of reason for me to believe that these Deathless runs are actually spliced. There's too many close calls. The playstyle you see in these Deathless runs is not the typical conservative playstyle you find in Deathless runners, and the runs you see here are not that far away from the respective release dates, which is an incredibly rare thing to see, and Nico does it consistently on pretty challenging games. If we go here to Armored Core 6, we're gonna see down here that the time that Nico Bellic posted this was August 27, 2023. Which is basically 3 days after the release of Armored Core 6. We got Lies of P Deathless in September 21 when the game came 3 days before this. The same thing happened with Metroid Dread as well, 3 days after release. And if you thought that was crazy, we got more stuff here. We got Cyber Shadow, January 26, the same day the game was released. And if you look for the Cuphead DLC, June 30th, 2022. And well, what do you know? June 30th, 2022. The same day, my guy actually finished the playthrough, did a Deathless run, entirely, non-spliced nothing, and uploaded the video the same day the game came out. As you dive deep in the niche of Deathless, Damageless, Hitless, and even Speedrun, you start to understand the types of playstyles runners need to adopt in order to do these challenges effectively. And when you see some of Nico Bellic stuff, you kind of wonder if this guy is like the most luckiest player in the world, or if there's something shady really going on. Now you're probably thinking, well, Nico is just that good. It doesn't explain anything. How about we watch some of the segments and you will see for yourself like how insane it is to actually get something like this in only 9 days. So you're gonna see the runner actually just prep just to be able to one-shot one of these enemies, because it's a weapon that Nico really needs here to use the rest of the run. And the first thing we see is Nico go in, hits him, and then rolls twice out to the left and then TPs out. You know how easy it is for you to get hit in such a scenario? Coming in, you have 3 enemies on the right, 3 enemies on the left. You kill one in the middle, and you are basically between 5 enemies. The chances of you getting hit by any of these 5 enemies is high. And you decide to just go in like this, smack him, and then just roll to the left twice, and TP in front of all 5 of them, thinking that none of them will do anything. You're hoping that things go your way. In a run like this, where you're trying to go fast, and also not get hit, you kind of want to balance between speed and hitless. The more competitive the category becomes, you really want to favor more speed over hitless. So you'll do a bit more risky things, but the consistency can still be seen in some players. There's no consistency in this, and this is just 6 minutes in. So you would probably say like, well, it's 6 minutes in, we can just reset to that point and then, try it again. Let's just say that's the case. How about we go a little bit further then? For example, this section, it goes 8 minutes into the run. There's dogs all around the place. Has a dog chasing behind him. One thing I want to stress, these dogs are not to be taken lightly. You do not run sections with these dogs next to you. And Nico doesn't care. Not only does he have a dog, he has this knight here to deal with. Grabs the item, not caring at all by the dog. Rolls late, which doesn't serve any purpose, and then just casually goes into the side of grace. You're hoping that the AI behaves in a manner that benefits you. If you're trying to go for a no-hit speedrun, this is not something you can get in 9 days. You cannot be this lucky. And then if none of those other scenarios kinda convince you, if this one doesn't convince you, then I don't really know what to say. Nico's about to fight a kindred enemy. These enemies are respected and feared by everybody in the community. Nobody wants to get close to this. When you're doing hitless, you do not want to get close to any of these kindreds, because the moment you get close to them, they're going to start shooting projectiles. Not all the time, but there's a chance that they will do. And these projectiles are not your typical like bow and arrow that you shoot and they just fly to a certain direction. No, these ones have insane tracking. Like, look at the first interaction you see here. Nico hits the kindred, and then projectile passes right in front of Nico. Right in front of Nico. Had Nico dash, it would have been over there. That's not able to kill him on time, and then a second set of projectiles comes out. How incredibly lucky do you have to be to not even get your horse hit? This section is so scary that even Gino is actually finding ways to not get close to that kindred. And this is just not tied to routes, you can see this on bosses as well. One of the things you're going to see with the DLC is bosses immediately attacking you as soon as you enter the arena. And while it's not 100% chance to happen, The option is there to take into consideration when you're doing Hitless, and Renala is one of those bosses. The fact that you actually take your time to summon marionette soldiers when you can get shot by Renala, it's wild. We're talking about 13 minutes in. And if we can see the fight here, we're gonna see that most of this playstyle that Nico is actually adopting is a very more like speedrunner playstyle, which is I will trade my life for hits in hopes that I can beat you in the fight, because I need to beat the boss as fast as possible. This is not a playstyle you want to adopt when you're doing Hitless. Let's look at the Golden Hippo for example. Probably the most clear example of I just gambled everything in hopes that I can actually get this Hitless. Goes for a second attack here that manages to graze him just a little bit, doesn't even do full damage, and then goes for this one heavy attack here in hopes to stagger. Probably be saying like, well, the amount of damage that Nico has done so far, Nico probably thinks that it's gonna work, but we're talking about a run that's 9 days in. How sure are you that you're gonna be able to do this attack and come out without getting hit? He was very close from getting hit in this attack. Nico was frames away. The mouse was just already inside his body. Why would you go for such a gamble 24 minutes into the run? It doesn't make sense, and there's no actual setup for this either. Because if you see here, Nico actually goes for an attack, completely misses it, so we know it for sure it's not scripted. It's hoping that the attack actually connects. Basically farming the boss until the boss gives him a string of moves that allows Nico to get a stagger in 3 hits no matter what. And then this is probably the phase transition, so goes for it, hits there. And then the craziest thing about here is that the needles in this attack, when they land, are completely random. Unless Miyazaki did the most 5-head move and made these needles the way that some developers do in shoot 'em up, which is like there's a bunch of projectiles that are really hard to dodge. If you don't move, they actually don't hit you. If Miyazaki did that, then holy Jesus, Miyazaki, 5-head and 10-head Nico for actually figuring it out. You're betting the entire run, every single step of the way, in hopes that it goes your way. And you can pretty much see it in the other bosses as well, right? Including Mesmer, where actually Bushido Yu made a video talking about the same situation that we got here with Nico, and went out of his way to actually test the beginning of this fight, only to be successful 3 out of 10 tries. 30% success rate. And Bushido Yu was not the only one that actually tested stuff out in this game. We had other runners like CBD, Gino Machino, and Hob just testing stuff out from Nico Bellic's run, just to realize that things are like highly inconsistent. And you don't have to hear from me, you can hear from them.
And like on this run so far, we've probably had at least 8 instances of something that is pure RNG with a significant chance of getting hit. Like we're talking like a 25% chance of getting hit.
My fucking life, I'm so fucking, this is fucking annoying as shit, dude. Everything in this video, dude, every single boss so far just seems so specific. You just can't repeat what's seen in the video.
Son todas las situaciones que se llevan dando desde el principio y más que se van a dar. No puedes tener tantas cosas inconsistentes porque no te va a salir nunca la no-hit.
To brute force a run like this guy is doing, it would take you years, right? It would take you years to do it how he does. I guarantee you.
I hear what you're saying. You're saying, Blasty, look man, this guy is just probably a true god gamer. Put his stats on lock all the way to 10. Heck, it passed all the way to 20. Cheat code his way up to max luck. And the guy looks legit. How about evidence A? What you're seeing here is actually audio splicing, primarily whenever Nico sits on the side of Grace, where the music kind of cuts off and then presumes to another part of the score. Not only that, but there's also the blue charm situation, where the icon for the blue charm appears in one spot, but when sitting on the side of Grace and the screen fading back in, the blue charm starts in another spot. And that's because when you quit out and go back in, the blue charm changes to the current spot the blue charm is in. Again, a clear indication that there has been some splicing happening.
It's at the end of the line of buffs, right? So if I rest and get back up, it's still at the end. So if I quit out, yeah, there it is.
Now, to end up with my thoughts here, the reason I took the liberty to just do this entire video is just because a lot of the viewers who watch this video has been lied to. And I don't think it's completely fair to the viewers who watched and the runners who practice every single day to not being transparent when there's a lot of other runners who really work hard to make single segment runs happen. Not just only in the Elden Ring space, in any other game. This is not the only runner that I know that does these kind of things. Now, do I think that splicing or doing segment is completely wrong? No, I don't think it's entirely wrong. I think it has its own merit, albeit probably a very low merit compared to like single segments, but it has its own thing. My issue is not the fact that Nico spliced a run or did a segmented run. My issue with Nico is that it was the lack of transparency. To me, splicing or segmented is actually not that far different from, for example, the typical YouTubers who like to do all bosses no damage or all bosses no hit. It's basically all the bosses edited together and basically a showcase. And to me, that has merit. Those players definitely have skill, just like Nico. But I think it's important that when you do splice or do segments, you put it in the title and in the description. It's not about legitimacy or not being legit. I don't really care if you splice or segment. Some people can't afford to do single segment runs. Or you just like segmenting stuff because it's fun. It's a little project that you can do from time to time and it's just a small hobby. I don't really mind. This is not something that I'm concerned of. Again, I'm concerned about the lack of transparency in this. I still find it pretty impressive that Nico's being able to put deathless runs even in the same day. Especially on runs that are not that easy to do. Because even though you're kind of farming RNG, you still need some level of knowledge and experience to be able to at least not get hit. When you play a game casually, you don't know what the heck you're doing, and you're gonna die a lot. And so, you get to a certain point where you're good enough to beat a certain boss or beat a certain section and move on. But that takes a little bit, especially in a game like the Souls games, like PE or Elden Ring. And being able to just do all that and kind of get a splice deathless run in such a timely manner, which is like 2 to 3 days, if you ask me, that's pretty impressive. Nico Bellic seems like the type of player that can pull these deathless or hitless challenges in a single segment, but for some reason chooses not to because it's less convenient or it doesn't bring as much views, which is totally understandable. It could also be the lack of patience, which is why I always say that everyone can do hitless, but hitless is not for everyone. Skill is not the only barrier to entry. Patience is one of them. Now, if you really want to see a single segment version of the Elden Ring DLC done hitless, you can watch this video here by question marks. If not, please enjoy watching my world's first single segment Super Metroid damageless run.